Oh, remember former Fairfield police officer Bailey Grace Mills? You know, the one who got arrested for DWI after reportedly falling asleep at the wheel at Sonic in Teague, Texas? Yeah, that one. Well, surprise, surprise. On March 24, 2026, I received the recorded court proceedings from her administrative hearing, the one that was held on March 12, 2026, and ended with her license being suspended for 90 days. And in that hearing, Teague police officer Andrew Daniel got on the record and testified about exactly what happened that morning. Now, isn't that interesting? Because up to this point, what has the public gotten? A heavily redacted incident report, an internal affairs investigation, excuses, delays, more excuses, and of course, the good old familiar government routine of, sorry, we can't release the body camera footage because there's still an ongoing criminal case. How convenient. So while they've been busy hiding the video, dragging their feet, and hoping the story would just quietly go away, the court proceedings tell us even more about what happened on October 11th, 2025 at around 7:30 a.m. that morning when former police officer Bailey Grace Mills was allegedly passed out at the wheel while ordering food at Sonic. What started as a welfare check turned into a DWI arrest, and according to the testimony, she blew a .165 BAC. But sure, nothing to see here, right? And let's not forget something else that makes this whole thing smell even worse. On March 4th, 2026, I reported that Fairfield's chief of police had finally terminated her over the arrest. And yes, that chief is also her cousin. Funny how things seemed to move a little more once the story kept getting reported and kept getting attention. Because without that pressure, this looked like it was headed exactly where a lot of these insider favorite cases go. Nowhere. That's why this story is still ongoing. Because we still don't have the body camera footage. We still don't have full transparency. And when agencies start hiding the very evidence that would let the public see the truth for themselves, that usually tells you all you need to know. So now you're about to hear the proceeding for yourself. You're about to hear Officer Daniel testify about what happened that morning. And then you can decide whether this was handled the way it should have been or whether certain people thought the badge, the family ties, and the silence would make it all disappear. Before we get into it, smash that like button, drop a comment, and share this everywhere. Because apparently public pressure is the only thing that gets results. Sunlight is still the best disinfectant.
Tyranny, corruption, extortion.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
BZ Watchdog News Network.
We're on the record in docket number 405-26-04743, DPS versus Bailey Grace Mills. Today's date is March 12, 2026. The time is 9:10 a.m. My name is Veronica Roberto. I'm the administrative law judge assigned to hear this case. We're going to take appearances beginning with the department.
Hearing for the department, Nick Dominguez, DOM, IND, you're ready and we're opening.
John Cook for the respondent.
All right, exhibits that are being offered today. There's some noise going on. I need that to be muted.
I don't see anything.
Judge, I think I see some feedback from Mr. Cook's audio.
All right. And okay, which exhibits are being offered today, Mr.
Yes, Your Honor. The department would offer DPS Exhibit C, the record certification for 1 page. DPS Exhibit 1, the peace officer's report and incorporated documents for 12 pages. And DPS Exhibit 2, the breath test, and the technical supervisor affidavit for 2 pages.
All right, Mr. Cook, do you have any objection to C1 and 2?
No, Your Honor.
All right, C1 and 2 are admitted.
The department rests, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Cook.
We call the officer.
All right, Officer Daniel, can you state your name for the record?
Officer Andrew Daniel with the City of Teague Police Department.
All right, and which agency do you work for?
Oh, Teague Police.
All right, and there's a witness fee. Do you want that sent to yourself, the agency, or do you waive it?
You can waive it.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to swear you in. Raise your right hand, officer. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you may proceed, Mr. Cook.
Could you state your full name, please?
First name Andrew, last name Daniel.
And how long have you been with the Teague Police Department?
It's going on 2 years now, but a full 1 year, 3 months on the street.
Okay. And did you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Before this, I was a contractor for the Dallas Police Department as a security officer.
Okay. And on the night of this arrest or morning of this arrest, were you dispatched to, what was your dispatch to?
The call came out as a welfare check for an individual at the Sonic drive-thru.
Okay. And when you got there, what did you observe?
I observed a vehicle and only one vehicle in the drive-thru with music blasting and an incoherent driver.
Okay. And you tap on her window or?
I did. I tapped on the window, attempting to get her attention, and ultimately she was not responding. So I ended up checking the door handle, which the vehicle was unlocked.
Okay. And you just kind of woke her up?
Yes. I started gently shaking her, and then I had to shake her shoulder to get her to come to.
Mr. Cook, are you still on the line?
Am I there now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
It's one of those days, Judge.
All right.
Okay. Did you have her move the truck, or you just got her out from there?
So before she exited the vehicle, EMS arrived. So I had her go with them while I relocated her vehicle.
Okay. When you got in the car there, could you smell any alcohol?
There was an odor, but I could not determine there was alcohol at that time.
Okay. As far as saying it, you smelled the alcoholic beverage, that would mean that you didn't see that. You didn't smell that.
No, there was an off odor to the vehicle, something of a sour smell. But
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. And eventually, I guess she went to the EMS.
She went into the ambulance for evaluation, and they checked her out for medical on basic vitals.
Do you know what they determined?
They determined that she was in good health, and the EMS technician informed me that she had bloodshot eyes and was inconsistent with her questioning on where she was going and what she was doing.
Okay. Then you had her get out of the back of the ambulance, I guess, or?
No, so before she exited the ambulance, I was discussing what was going on with the EMT technician because there was already another paramedic inside the ambulance with her. And when they were done with her, she walked out on her own, and that's when I met up with her.
Okay. And when you observed her, when you first met up with her, she was standing, where was she standing?
She was standing next to the ambulance.
Okay. Did she have to lean on the ambulance for support or anything?
She was trying to get her footing, but she was standing almost a foot in front of the ambulance, constantly looking back and forth.
You've come up on people before, though, that were just in a dead sleep, correct?
I have.
And some not necessarily with even drinking. Is that true?
Yes.
And I think there's even studies that you're aware of that a person can appear intoxicated just from sleep deprivation. Is that true?
That is true.
And it's, in fact, they consider it very dangerous driving, maybe even more than DWI. Is that correct?
Yes, I would consider it just as or more dangerous.
Let me ask you this. What time was this?
This is going to be in the morning. My shift started at 7 a.m. So approximately around 7:30-ish is when we're having her checked out.
Okay. Was it your understanding that she had been stopped earlier?
Yes, several hours before my shift had occurred, I was given a debrief from the officer I was relieving that she had been stopped during his shift.
Oh, do you know who stopped her?
That would be an Officer Condren.
Condren?
Mm.
What time was that he stopped her?
That might have been around 2 in the morning, so several hours before my stop ever occurred.
So if it's 2 in the morning, and that's basically 5.5 hours earlier.
Around that time.
Okay. Did that officer indicate to you, or anybody reveal to you, that they had detected a smell of alcohol or any signs of drinking?
No, he only gave me a brief synopsis.
Okay. As far as you're concerned, stop for speeding, I guess, is what the reason was?
Speeding, and she gave a reason she was trying to help someone on the side of the road, but that's all that the information he gave me.
Okay. What did you ask her when you had her outside the vehicle prior to doing the standardized field sobriety test?
Well, several times from before the EMT checked him out to after the EMT checking her out, I asked her if she had anything to drink, which she stated no.
Okay. Did eventually she admit to drinking?
Yes, when I started conducting the interview questions for the standards field sobriety test, she did admit to drinking 2 beers.
Okay. I got to watch the videos. I was just going to ask your opinion. Did she appear, a few minutes or several minutes after she had woken up out of the truck, appear to be more coherent?
She was awake, but
Okay.
she was still not able to answer questions straightforward.
Well, did it appear that she was talking better, though, and physically, waking up, she could balance was better and everything else?
Yes, because she was no longer in a deep sleep.
Yeah. After all that, at what point did you give her the standardized field sobriety test?
That would be after EMS checked her out. And again, when I said I asked her if she had been drinking, she stated no.
Okay. When you asked her,
I'm not getting audio.
Yeah, he's off. He dropped, so you just have to wait till he comes back on. We're back on the record in docket number 405-26-04743, DPS versus Bailey Grace Mills. The time is 9:35 p.m. It's March 12, 26. My name is Veronica Roberto, administrative law judge. So we had some technical difficulties. Mr. Cook, audio was cut, and now we're resuming this case. We left off with questions to the officer, the witness, Deputy Daniel, I'm sorry, Officer Daniel, and I'm not sure that we were able to hear your last question, Mr. Cook, so go ahead and take it from there.
Officer, I think my last question was doing something with, did you ever smell alcohol in her breath?
Established that I did smell a foul odor.
A foul odor? But that wouldn't be alcohol, though, would it?
Well, usually it would materialize as foul odor, but it was an off odor right out the gate.
If you have you had any other DWI arrests where you said
Yes,
there
I
was?
have.
I didn't finish my question. Have you had any other DWI arrests where you made an arrest, but you couldn't determine if you smelled alcohol?
No.
Okay. And the truth is, you never smelled alcohol in this. You smelled a foul odor.
It was
Also,
a foul odor.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was agreeing to you.
Also, would you agree with me that the EMTs that were in there and examined her, they were examining her eye, they were checking her out with everything, correct? Like blood pressure and all that.
Yes, sir.
And the EMT indicated to you that he did not smell alcohol. Is that true?
He couldn't determine that either, sir. He smelled a foul odor as well.
Okay. And so would it be fair to say you had another officer come to the scene? Is that correct? Was it the chief, or I forgot who it was?
It is the chief of police.
Did he ever smell alcohol on her?
He didn't go anywhere near her.
Okay. So it's fair to say anyone that had contact with her that night did not smell alcohol on her. Is that correct?
In the morning, only a foul odor was detected.
I didn't ask you. I know it's in the morning, but what does that have to do with anything?
Objection, argumentative.
I think so. Mr. Cook, can you just ask the question? It's kind of hard to, there's a lot of background noise. So if you can just be clear with your questions.
I don't know what it is, Judge, because I just don't have any background in here. But officer, now I'm gonna try to speed this up in case I get cut off if it goes off again. But anyway, you at some point you conducted the standardized field sobriety test, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I would like to ask you, when were you certified in that?
That would be in 2024.
And now, and where did you take that certification at?
The McLennan County Law Enforcement Academy in Waco, Texas.
Okay. Now, the HGN test, I want to ask you one thing. It looks like you did all the preliminary questioning and all that. You have her put her feet together and her hands by her side. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it requires a person, to look at your stimulus and while keeping their feet together and the hands by their side. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. And you also have to be able to, you can't have the head going back and forth sideways or frontways. Is that true in order to get an accurate test?
That is true. It has to be still.
Okay. And she did not sway while you were conducting that HGN test, correct?
Let's see. She did not sway during the HGN. That is correct.
Okay. Now, you had indicated that you had observed 4 out of 6 clues. But the one that you did not see would be the onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees.
That is correct.
May I ask you, when you're doing the lack of smooth pursuit clue, you move the stimulus like 2 seconds out and 2 seconds back in. Is that true?
That is correct for each eye.
Okay. When you did that lack of smooth pursuit clue, was this nystagmus is involuntary jerking of the eye, correct?
That is correct.
And when you're observing the eyes, were they jerking throughout the moves? In and out?
They were jerking, yes, sir.
And would that be like as soon as you started?
That would be through the process of tracking. During the movement, the eye is supposed to follow the stimulus, and she was jerking with the fluid, supposedly smooth motion. She was not able to do that. She was jerking.
I mean, that's an involuntary response, so you can't control it. And you saw it throughout when you first. I don't know if can you see me?
No, we cannot see you. Not on camera.
I haven't figured that out yet either. But anyway, when you're looking at the smooth pursuit, though, it started from continuous through the first 2 seconds out, and then it also continue with the 2 seconds back. Is that true?
That is true.
And then Explain to me, you move the stimulus in the same rate when you're looking at an onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees. Is that true?
I'm sorry. Are you? I didn't fully hear you.
When you're moving the stimulus on onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees, you're moving it at the same rate. Is that true? The stimulus?
It's going to be 4 seconds, not 2 seconds.
Is it not 2 seconds out and 2 seconds back according to the
It is
manual?
not. It is move at the speed approximately 4 seconds according to the SFST standard.
Okay. Now, when you're moving it at 4 seconds, you moved it all the way out to 45 degrees. And
45 degrees.
did you go past 45?
Negative. It is only to 45 degrees.
And during that whole time that you did that, you didn't see nystagmus. Is that true?
I did not see onset nystagmus.
Well, onset of nystagmus prior to 45. You didn't see that at all, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. Can you explain to me why, if you can find lack of smooth pursuit, how you would not find it also in onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees?
No, sir. Everyone's different.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about the walk and turn test. You indicated in your report that there were 3 out of 8 clues. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. What were those?
She missed her heel to toe, and she was using her arms for balance. Her arms kept coming up, and she turned improperly according to the instructions I had given her.
Is that in your report?
It is documented on the FST scoring sheet, which was included with my report.
Okay. In your narrative on page 5 of 12, were you describing that test? Excuse me 1 second. Can you explain why you didn't list, you only listed 2 clues?
I think your page numbers might be different than mine. You'll have to give me a second.
It may be page 4 on your numbering.
It is, and it on the walk and turn, it stated that there were a total of 3 of the 8 clues.
What I'm asking you, where did you put that she failed to do a wrong turn, improper turn?
That would not be documented in the same paragraph. It would just be on the scoring sheet.
Okay. Is that a mistake?
It was not added to the report. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the last test you gave her was the 1-leg stand, correct?
That is correct.
And out of 4 clues, she only exhibited 1. Is that true?
That is true.
So she passed the test.
For that one portion, yes.
Well, it's a bit, 1-leg stand is probably the one people fail the most, is it not?
That would vary.
Okay. So out of all those, on the walk and turn, by the way, are you allowed a little space between your feet?
It is heel to toe. So
But
when you were doing the turn, it is a series of small steps.
I'm asking about the walking down the line. You said she's didn't fail to touch heel to toe throughout that. Are you allowed a little space between your toe and the heel?
Your toe and heel should be coming into contact with each other. It is heel to toe.
So no space is allowed. Is that true?
That is true. It is heel to toe.
Can I ask you why the manual states that you're allowed 1 inch between heel and toe?
Objection, Judge. Stating items not into evidence.
Yeah, I'm going to sustain this. We're going on for quite a bit. Mr. Cook, you need to wrap this up.
I'm
Let's
about
go.
to wrap. Okay, officer. during that time, was she wearing sandals?
Sandal equivalent, yes, sir.
Okay. I want to ask you now, I want to go to did you go to the breath testing room with her when she took the breath test?
I was in the vicinity, but I was not in the room. You are not authorized to be in the same room when they're being conducted by an authorized instructor or tester.
Okay. But as your understanding, the breath test score was a 0.16.
Let's see.
That's on page 9 of 12 of your report, officer.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was over double the limit, correct?
That was.
That would be drunk enough for 2 people. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. That would be a high dosage of alcohol, wouldn't it?
It would
Judge,
be.
we're going to object to relevance.
I'm
this
going to
point.
sustain the objection. Mr. Cook, we need to move on.
Okay. I got the relevant part is I'm going to ask him about vertical gaze nystagmus.
You've
Judge,
already asked those
that's post-arrest
questions.
material, Judge.
I'm
We
gonna
object to that
sustain
again.
the objection. So let's wrap this up, Mr. Cook.
Am I allowed to ask about vertical gaze nystagmus?
No, you've already asked him about that.
I have not, Judge.
What are you going to ask him specifically?
Ask him, did he observe it?
All right. Go ahead and ask that question.
Did you observe vertical gaze nystagmus?
I did not observe vertical gaze nystagmus.
And as far as alcohol is concerned, the presence of vertical means that there's a high dosage of alcohol, correct?
It can indicate that.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Mr. Dominguez, do you have any questions?
No questions, Judge. Thank you, Officer Daniel, for being here.
All right. We're done with Officer Daniel. Testimony. You are released from your subpoena. Thank you very much for testifying today, and you are free to go. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, officer.
Mr. Cook, do you rest?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Dominguez, closing.
Yes, Judge. The department will close by asking for an affirmative finding and a suspension of 90 days.
All right. Mr. Cook.
Your Honor, I would ask for a negative finding considering the totality of evidence that you heard. Number one, I don't believe there was probable cause for the arrest. It's pretty remarkable that a person can have a 0.16 breath test and not smell any alcohol. No one, not even a trained EMT. There's something wrong there. Also, it appears that if you're a 0.16, you're not going to appear like she did. Having only 4 clues out of 6 on the nystagmus, walk and turn test, which he actually doesn't understand. You are allowed space between your toe and your foot. She appeared to walk down the line properly, and the turn, I guess, was improper. I would argue that it doesn't match up to what that score is. Also, incredibly, while she's doing the HGN test, her head she's never weaved once. It's apparent to me that she woke up from a sleep and all is, and which would have caused her to maybe look impaired. And it indicated to me that she was not intoxicated. There's something wrong with that test, the breath test. I would argue there wasn't probable cause to do that, to arrest her, including totality of circumstances, including the vertical gaze and nystagmus test, in which, if you're not talking about drugs, it says that indicates a high dosage of alcohol. Well, 0.16 is a high dosage of alcohol, and it wasn't observed. So I would argue they haven't proven their case by a preponderance of the evidence, and also I would argue that there was not probable cause to make the arrest. and also that the breath test should be disregarded.
All right. Do you have a rebuttal, Mr. Dominguez?
Yes, Judge. I would point you to the fact that this was a call for a person who was asleep at a drive-through. The officer came in and woke up the defendant. The defendant had slurred speech, confirmed that she had consumed alcohol. She had red bloodshot eyes. She fell and stumbled once during their interaction. She couldn't locate her driver's license ID card and had to be helped to locate that ID card. She deserved 4 clues on the HCN. All those, that's enough right there for reasonable suspicion and probable cause. What happened after that? The breath test. It was done in accordance to the breath test supervisor's training, and there's nothing in the evidence to indicate that anything was wrong with that breath test, Judge. So once again, we just asked for an affirmative finding.
All right. Thank you very much. This concludes this hearing. I'm going to stop the recording.
Tyranny, corruption, extortion.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
BZ Watchdog News Network.
BZ Watchdog.